In Ezekiel chapter 37, God takes the prophet Ezekiel out to a valley. And he says, Ezekiel, what do you see? And Ezekiel looks around and he sees a field of bones, just a valley full of bones that have been there for some time. They're dry. They've been scorched by the heat. These bones represent life that once was, but has not been for a long time. And God asks Ezekiel, can these bones live again? And Ezekiel says, you know the answer, Lord. And God tells Ezekiel, I want you to prophesy. I want you to prophesy over these bones. Prophesy to the wind. And when Ezekiel does that, God brings life back to these long dead bones. And in Ezekiel chapter 37 and in verse 11, God says, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried up and our hope has perished. We are completely cut off. And the point that God is making with Ezekiel in this vision of the valley of dry bones is that God can bring life where there is no life. God can bring Israel back again. They've been carried off into captivity. They feel like all hope is lost, but God can bring them back. He can bring life to that which is dead. I had a Bible study today with a group of gentlemen, and we were talking about the book of Ezekiel. We were talking about this section in Ezekiel, and one of them made a comment that I thought was very helpful and very practical, and it made me want to use that thought for today's consideration. He said, we look around our world and our culture, and we look in our own country in the United States, and we see things that are not the way they should be. And we may lament and mourn, and we might say, there's no hope for this country. Look at how far we have fallen. Look at how bad things are. Look at how sinful our society is. And yet, what God may need us to do is to go out and to prophesy to the bones, as it were. To go and speak the word of the Lord to that which is dead. There are spiritually dead people all around us, people who are lost in sin. God can make them alive. God can give life and hope to them. But what they need is for someone to come and prophesy, as it were, to speak the word of the Lord to them. Ezekiel prophesied over the bones. He spoke the word of the Lord to the wind, and God came in and brought life to those dead bones. Maybe what God needs you to do, and what he needs me to do, instead of lamenting the hopelessness of the situation in our country, instead of thinking about how bad things are, sitting back and not doing anything about it is not the answer. What God needs us to do is to go out and speak the word of the Lord. Talk to people about God's principles, about God's values and God's ways. And let's watch God bring life to the ones who listen. Something to think about.